What's going on, everyone? So, at the end of season 3 of From, we saw Jim meet his end. We saw Julie react, and she was looking completely different. She obviously went through something while she was attempting to story walk. This clearly looks like a future version of Julie. She's got, claw mark on her face, so clearly she got into a little bit of a squabble with somebody or something, some monster, something ended up happening. Well, there was a lot of rumors and speculation a while back about the upcoming From potentially being a flashback season. Now, one, I don't believe that they would do a full flashback season. I don't think the entire season will be a flashback. Or, like a different timeline to kind of explain from. However, I do believe that you will get some of that to a degree. The reason you can't do a full season of it is because you have so many questions that need to be answered. Now, we have seen shows kind of take that route and stuff before, but usually they have a conclusion point that leaves on a cliffhanger that you need to kind of explain kind of how you got to that point or whatever, right? That's not what we have here. Right? Like we're in the midst of finding out reincarnations, real and time travel, and all these characters. Like, it's just too much. Like, you cannot, in the middle of everything that you're setting up and building up, go, oh, okay, yeah, never mind. We're just gonna have an entire season that's based around nothing that you concluded to. Like, all the questions that you need answered. I don't see that route. However, I do think two routes make a lot of sense. I think either one, you could dedicate, 2 episodes or something like that, or a full episode or whatever, where that whole episode is maybe like a flashback, right? Like maybe Julie, you see step into one of the stories, right? And you kind of see her from like her perspective. Like you're kind of watching the story from her perspective. That could be cool. That could be different. That could be entertaining. That could be something that, you could maybe make sense, right? However, I think the other alternative, which I actually kind of like more, would be instead of doing like an episode or two, have it play out throughout the whole season, but have it be kind of this backstory, this, overarching backstory where she is, yes, you're still learning the Tabitha and Jade story, and, you're still dealing with the main FROMVILLE story, and you're answering all the questions that need to be answered, and you're continuing and you're picking up where you left off. But Julie potentially jumps back into these stories, and like, what if she ends up getting stuck in a couple, right? Or you could have her, even if she doesn't get stuck, like you could have her kind of hopping around these various stories, and we get to kind of get a little peek into those worlds, right? So, each episode is whatever, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever, right? Like, you could have 5 to 7 minutes of every episode kind of be dedicated to that, right? Maybe even make the episodes a little long, maybe even make the episodes a full hour and have like 10 minutes of each episode, not all at once, not like in a block, but, like 2 or 3 minutes of her, dealing or seeing something from the past. And then, but you could kind of tell the story of Jade and Tabitha and everything and kind of their memories and as they're unlocking stuff through Julie, right? So you can have us seeing like the visual representation because Julie is the one that's story walking and going all to all these different past instances and stuff, right? So like she's going back to when, Miranda ended up getting, discovering her gifts or whatever, right? Or whatever stories that are there. Like, how far does it go? Can she go like outside world? Is it just here and from, right? There's a lot of ways to touch, but we're going to need to kind of unpack the past here, right? Now you could do it where, Tabitha and Jade are kind of unlocking it in real time, or you could still do that, but also have Julie kind of, instead of having the flashback in like just typical flashback form, what if it tied into actual what Julie's doing, right? What if it tied into, Julie being a story walker, and the flashback you're seeing is actually Julie and her story, right? Like, I think that would be just a much better approach. I think that would be kind of a cool, creative way to kind of make this all make sense and kind of add everything together into like one cohesive story. Because again, I mean, otherwise you could do, like I said, you could do an episode or two, like say, whatever, episode 4, like episode 3 at the end, they kind of set up that it's going to be, that the next episode is like a flashback episode through Julie, or Julie gets stuck in this realm or whatever. And then, boom, that episode 4 is the flashback episode. And then, maybe do the same thing with like episode 7 or 8 or whatever. Sure, if you wanted to go that route, okay. But I don't know. You have too much that needs to be uncovered. I mean, obviously, again, Tabitha, Jade, obviously what's going on with Boyd and Randall, and, what's going on with Officer Acosta, and, you have the man in yellow, and you have Jim's death and the aftermath of that, and you have the boy in white, and you have Victor, and you have Elgin and what's going on with that, Fatima and the aftermath of that. Right? There's just way too much that you need to dive into and talk about and explore and converse and unpack for the audience, that you don't have the time. Even if this show was going to be 10 seasons, I don't think you could just have an episode or a season in the middle of what you're doing that's nothing but just like flashbacks. Like, oh, we're just going to do a whole season of flashbacks, right? Like, I don't think you can do that. I think that would be incredibly silly. I think that'd be incredibly foolish, personally. But to do an overarching story to where, everything is still business as usual. You're still getting the Tabitha and Jade and Man in Yellow and Boy in White and all these stories and all these conversations, right? Nothing's changed. Everything's still the same. You're still headed in the right direction. But while that's going on, you got this other path, this other journey that's alongside, right? And so you're kind of, again, like I said, seeing all of these conversations maybe through the eyes of Julie and her as a story walker, or maybe like they're uncovering the past and they're unlocking all these memories and stuff. But instead of it being dialogue through Tabitha and Jade, Julie's going down the same rabbit holes. And she's unlocking and remembering, or not remembering, but learning all these same things. So it's just like you got the visual representation of the main story, of what's going on. I think that would just be a really cool kind of different approach to go with this. Rather than just like, because otherwise you're kind of taking away and throwing a wrench into everything. And you kind of run the risk of ruining or taking away from what you're building here. Right? You just have way too much that you need to unpack and unravel story-wise, that I just don't think you can spend, 2-3 episodes kind of backtracking here and or have this like full season. I don't think you can do that. Right? Like, it's already concerning that this might not come out till 2026. Now, look, the guy, the head director and everything, he said that that they want to get it out in 2025. So maybe they do, right? Or maybe it's something where they get like half the episodes or something like that, or you get like a part 1, part 2, right? So like, can you get part 1 towards the end, first 5 episodes out by whatever, October, and then next 5 episodes by like January, February, right? And it's like, well, you could either have it we'll have to wait till February, or you could get some now, some later, right? I think that would be a cool approach. But anyway, as always, pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of like, kind of having this overarching story, kind of having this like, just better flow to everything? Do you think, no, absolutely not? You gotta, have the flashbacks, dedicate an episode or 2 to it, so we can get the full exposure rather than having a piece it all together throughout the season, which I think is fine. Like, because if you watch the full season, you get all the details, you get all the information. You know, instead of having a bunch of filler, right, instead of having a bunch of filler stories and background stuff, why not make it about Julie and her story walking and her learning and kind of going through everything? Like, I think that would just be a much better approach overall for the upcoming season. But that's my thoughts and opinions. And again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, either way, I would love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.